Hey guys, how we doing? Week 1 was amazing. No, it was absolutely frustrating. If you are a fan of half of the teams, you're frustrated. If you're a fan of 24 of the 32 teams, you're probably frustrated right now, even if you got a win. What a wild and crazy weekend this has been. I will jump into some of the college stuff in the next episode. This one is mainly the recap of 13 of the 16 games. So what the Monday morning videos are going to be, by the way, good Monday morning. Hope the week starts out strong for you. And what this video is going to be every week is really simple. This video is a quick snapshot of each game on Sunday besides Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is going on right now. That game is not completed. I will recap that game and the Monday Night Football game in the next episode. So obviously Saturday morning when I do my picks, recapping Thursday, Monday morning is the main Sunday lineup, and then the next video, which should come out on Wednesday morning as well, my midweek video, will be the recap of Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So I know you're wondering, as you have well learned, I can talk about football. I love football. How am I going to get through 13 different games in a timely manner and not have this video be an hour and a half long? I have something to show you guys. Check this out. We have a timer. So this is the goal right here. And I will try to explain this before this timer runs to 0. Here is the goal. Every single matchup, each team is going to get 1 minute. I'm going to use 1 minute maximum on each team, maximum 2 minutes on a matchup, just giving you the quick recap. You remember the fastest 3 minutes in football with Boomer Esiason, or not Boomer Esiason, Big Boomer, Chris Berman. That's kind of what this is going to be based off of, but it's for each matchup. We'll get 2 minutes, 1 minute per team. Give you some of the stats, give you some of the highlights that I was able to see. I was able to currently see a lot of the highlights. Like I said, I'm able to watch the condensed versions of the games throughout this week, so I'm able to stay up on everything and will do so. Not all of them are done yet, but I will get to it. So here we go. Without further ado, there it is. There's a timer. Boom. Next. Here we go, guys. Let's rock and roll. Let's get that off of here. Recap number 1. Let's get the timer going. Here it is. Ravens versus Jets. Let's start with the Ravens. If you were a Ravens fan, you were worried in the first half. Oh my goodness, it took them forever to get going. But the minute that they got the offense going, my goodness, did they look amazing. Now, for some people, you may want to have paper and a bunch of other stuff. Listen, I don't have money for ink and paper all the time. I'm using my tablet, baby. Here we go. So this is basically what it came down to. Jackson didn't have an overly accurate day. He only threw for 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Didn't look particularly sharp through most points of the game, but had a couple of really beautiful bombs late. They did not have a running game, but their defense was stout. So main thing, if you're the Ravens, defense looked good. They held the Jets to only 9 points, did a really good job throughout the day, gave offense time to be able to get into the game and get everything set. There's the Ravens. The Jets, on the other hand, you're scared if you're a Jets fan. I mean, seriously, Joe Flacco threw the ball 60 times. 60 times you threw the football. Jeez. They only had 17 rush attempts, which means they had 77 offensive plays and mustered 9 points on 77 offensive plays. Maybe you can take solace, Jets fans, in the fact that you weren't shut out, but it was horrific to watch. Flacco did end up with 300 yards passing on a day where They were able to move the ball a little bit later on. It was mostly trash time. But let's be honest, that game, it was one of our locks of the week. Our locks didn't do so great, but nonetheless, it was one of our locks of the week. And the game came down 24-9. Ravens get the victory. Moving on to the next one. Here we go. We got the Browns versus the Panthers. Now, if you guys remember, I picked the Browns to win. I love what they have. I think Jacoby Brissett is pretty dang good to be able to fill in. His yards average is going to be really low. He had 34 attempts, only 147 yards passing. So it's very limited. But Browns fans, the minute Chubb and Kareem Hunt got going, guys, that is what you can take to the bank, is that dang good running game. That running game is so strong. And the defense was stout in the first half. The second half got a little tired. You could tell that the coverages weren't nearly as crisp in the second half for the Browns. But the first half, they had the Panthers stifled, completely stymied. And at the end of the day, Jacoby Brissett led them down the field, got the touchdown, and by golly, the Browns are 1-0 and not looking horrible. All right, here we go. Panthers, we have very simply Baker Mayfield is going to struggle. I'm not going to harp too harsh on him, but he did not look good at all. It did not look good at all. So basically, his entire passing yardage, he had one pass. Robbie Anderson caught a 75-yard touchdown pass. He had 235 yards passing. That means the rest of the day, he had 155 yards total. He did not have a good day. The stats are going to kind of be a little bit jaded off of that. He looked uncomfortable. The team didn't look great. The offensive line is going to struggle against bigger defensive fronts. I think that's very clear. Christian McCaffrey was basically held in check. He's normally, somebody that fantasy wants. Not today. It didn't really matter. Relatively road average on that one. But at the end of the day, the Browns get the W, 26-24. And the next game, we got the Eagles versus the Lions. What a tale of three different sections of this game. The first game, the Eagles didn't really look great. Kind of were trying to figure out where their footing was. And then all of a sudden, they got hot. And we're talking hot. Defense got a touchdown. Offense just seemingly could not be stopped. It looked like they were going to open the game up and just run away with the game. And then they let the Lions right back into it. And it was a very competitive game. Since we're talking about the Eagles, we'll stay on them. Basically, what you're looking at, Eagles fans, is Jalen Hurts had a really off day. But your running game was all right. It was fantastic, but Jalen Hurts is your best running back. But A.J. Brown did have a monster game. So Eagles fans, you're looking pretty dang good. I like what the future holds for you. The Detroit Lions, man, I was really hoping you guys would be able to pull this one off. I was really hoping. I was pulling so hard for them to be able to keep the lead they had built up early. Then they got behind, and then, dang it, they came back, and they looked good while doing it. Losing the game 38-35, heartbreaking fashion. But we got to be honest here. So check out this receiving line. Let's just go this way. So we had 7 different receivers that were able to, that had the ball. And we got 8 receptions, 4 receptions, 4 receptions, 3 receptions, 1 reception, 1 reception. The distribution was pretty good for Goff. I guess it's 6, but DeAndre Swift, man, that guy's special. I loved him at Georgia. I think he is amazingly special. Lions fans, you have got a huge thing building there. I hope Campbell is the right coach, because dang it, you guys have got some talent. All right, went a little bit over there, but I love the Lions. I've been pulling for the Lions for a long time with Matt Stafford. Going to continue to do so. All right, here is a frustrating slide. Very frustrating slide. Here we go. 49ers and Bears. First of all, it was a monsoon. It was a monsoon and a half. The 49ers could not get the run game going, which is a little bit concerning. Not going to lie. Trey Lance looked... I don't know how to judge Trey Lance in a complete rainstorm. It's hard to get an accurate depiction. What I'm going to do instead is go off of the defense held up until the final quarter, basically. Really, that's all it came down to, is the defense held up to the final quarter. And everything else kind of just played along. Really, everything else just fell into line for the Bears to be able to pull this one out. I don't want to overreact. The offense didn't look great. In a wet, rainy field, you couldn't get footing and push a undersized Bears defense around, sure. But really, at the end of the day, regroup, go into next week. As far as the Bears are concerned, what can I say? GG. Absolutely GG. You pulled out a win that very few people thought you could. Very few people thought you could. And that is impressive. Justin Fields, congrats. Absolutely congrats. Well done. You know, it's hard to be able to pull off a win like that. You had a couple of bomb throws that were just downfield, and you connected. I mean, good for you. This is the scoring. So you got you had a huge 51-yard pass in the third quarter to Dante Pettis. That's kind of what changed the game and gave the Bears some life in this game. If they don't score that touchdown, 49ers are going to win handily. But the Bears came out of the game 19-10, and you got to win. You're one of the undefeated teams after week number 1. So Chicago, congratulations. All right, I don't want to talk about this next game. I really don't. I really don't. Okay. I've already lost 10 seconds. I'm slightly in mourning. I watched every snap of this game live. I was so frustrated. It was a tale of two halves, and honestly, it ended the way that it should have. First of all, I'm going to do this a little bit backwards. First of all, the Texans, what a great sight to see Lovie Smith back on the field as a head coach. Great sight to see an amazing human being, an amazing leader back on the sidelines of an NFL team. First of all. Second of all, the Texans are building something. The Texans are building something, and it looks good. They look like the Lions of last year, if not the year before, and then into last year. Third, the Colts offensive line is in trouble. We paid Quentin Nelson. We've got Braden Smith, and we have Ryan Kelly. Our right guard and our left tackle got eaten for breakfast. It was bad. We need our left tackle back. Pryor, I don't think can do it. Raymond, I don't know. It doesn't look good. The offensive line looked confused. The snaps to the quarterback weren't crisp. Whatever it was in the first half, the Colts looked horrible. I know this timer's going to run out. I don't care. This game made me mad. We're going to talk about this for a little bit. The Colts need to do what they did in the second half. Open it up. Matt Ryan is not Drew Bledsoe. He is not in a time of his career where he can't read a defense well enough to where you have to do max protect and run two routes. The first half of the Colts' entire game plan was so horrendous to watch. The runs were weird. They were doing slams instead of dives and cutbacks. The passing routes weren't going any further past 15 yards. We didn't take a lot of shots downfield. We didn't use play action correctly in the first half. Like, nothing made sense. In an offense that should be built on running the football, play action off of it, and using our speedsters to be able to run away from a defense. I know they're playing cover too, but come on. Like, it was frustrating beyond any shadow of a doubt. I could not believe this game, and it ended the way it should. 20-20, missed field goal, ends in a tie. What can you say? I mean, really, that's how that game should have ended. So, both teams are neither have a win, nor have a loss. Just got a tie, which can make the playoffs interesting. Let's keep that in mind. All right, here we go. Let's get to the next one. The Commanders versus the Jags. This game looked like a tale of two halves as well. The Commanders came out on the top at the end of it. 28-22. Give credit to Jacksonville. They played tough. They came back. They made it a strong game, and they had a chance to pull out the win. They did a great job of fighting back. I love how this team is built. If this is in Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville wins. That's what I was saying all week. Watch them. They can keep this thing close. And I really thought that they were going to be able to come over and be able to potentially knock them out, but couldn't get it done. Trevor Lawrence looked much better, much more relaxed. Accuracy was still a little off. I think he's excited still. I think he's got to settle down. Doug Peterson will get him there. Josh Robinson is a beast at running back. Love the kid. And the defense didn't play bad. They did not play bad. So Jacksonville, patience. You've got it. You've got some fundamentals or some foundational pieces there. I like them. Keep your head up. Washington, jeez. You talk about Wentz just being Wentz. His 2 interceptions were interesting. His 4 touchdowns were pretty dang good. He is a frustrating quarterback. I am so happy he's not in Indianapolis because he would have lost the game for us today. Really what it comes down to is this. Washington's defense is not going to be as stout. The offense is going to have to make up for it. The run game really was kind of anemic, didn't really do much. But check out the passing yardage numbers. 72 yards for the running back. Lots of dump-offs. Much better. Decision-making was better. Big McLaurin only had 2 receptions. Curtis Samuel had 8. Jamar Dotson, the rookie, had 2 touchdowns and 3 catches. So, hey, welcome to the NFL, Rook. Well done. And at the end of the day, Washington Commanders pull it out 28-22. And they've got a W. And we'll find out how many other of the NFC East teams have one as well. All right, here we go. We got 3 more early games. These were the early games. Saints at Falcons. I texted Penguin telling him that Cordero Patterson was trying to single-handedly make sure that the Falcons couldn't tank this year. The guy is electric. What a leader to have in your team. If I am any team that needs a running back right now, needs somebody that can be multifunctional, I would so trade for him. I mean, what a guy to have for the Falcons. His speed's still there. His toughness is still there. He has really revitalized his career in Atlanta, and good for him. I love Cordero Patterson. Mariota didn't look bad. The defense wasn't horrible. Really, it was a blink. I mean, literally, you blinked, and all of a sudden, the Falcons won. They did end up pulling out the Saints won, and they pulled it out with a 51-yard field goal at the end of the game. But the Falcons looked really solid, really good, honestly. I think they're going to be a tougher team to compete with than I originally thought. So I think my standings predictions that I had for them is probably going to be pretty accurate. The Saints, Taysom Hill is the X factor. Jameis Winston is not going to beat any defenses that have a secondary. Really, he's not going to beat any defenses that have a linebacking core either. And everything else was kind of off. It really was. Everything else was kind of off. Michael Thomas was back, receiver. Jarvis Landry's there. Chris Olave was there. And all of them, those were the top 3 receiving targets. But Taysom Hill took over everything. Like, this is what it was. He had 4 rushes, 81 yards. He really single-handedly kept them around in the game. Michael Thomas had 2 receiving touchdowns, so good for him. But I don't see. I think these two teams are so evenly matched that honestly, I think they're going to be teams that you're going to be looking at through the entire rest of the year. Steelers versus Bengals. The Bengals are in a sophomore year. Keep this in mind. The Bengals are in a big sophomore year, new offensive line. And the Steelers defense, I have said, Steelers fans are jumping on me, and it's more than one. Steelers fans are saying that I'm being unfair to what they can do. No, the Steeler defense, I have said, is amazing. I have also said they will get tired. Okay, you won in September. Game number 1 against a brand new offensive line, a good offense. I will give you the credit for what you did. I thought the Bengals were going to win. Most everybody else thought they were going to win as well. Your offense still stunk. Let me test. Okay. 21-38 for 194 yards in passing. And once again, your run game averaged nothing. Your biggest runner was a wide receiver. Your best runner, 6 rushes, 36 yards, wide receiver, reverses. Are you kidding me? Don't try to tell me the Steelers are going to be able to be much. Their defense is amazing. I have said this over and over. Your offense is so bad, the defense is going to get tired. It's September, it's week 1, brand new offensive line pieces, 3 new starters for the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers push them around, and you still only barely beat them in overtime, and it was to end overtime. It almost ended in a tie. So let's slow down a little bit, but good for you, Pittsburgh. You got a victory. Now you don't have to wait 6 weeks to get one. But the writing is on the wall. The game played out the exact way it's going to. Cincinnati is the much better team. They got hot. They should have won the game, and that's basically how it comes down to it. But Steelers in overtime, 23-20. The next game I am really happy to recap, and is because the Patriots lost, and I can be somewhat biased, but I hate what they've done to their team. Mac Jones, the poor guy, looked lost, and I'm going to talk about the Patriots probably a minute and a half of these 2 minutes, because the Patriots screwed up mightily, and I don't want their rookies getting hurt by this or discouraged by this. The Patriots looked so out of whack. They looked lost. They looked confused. They looked completely... they looked so uncomfortable. They didn't know what they were going to do to play. The plays looked so clunky and heavy, like it was it's more like a clock system where you get the links that are trying to turn together and nothing was turning. And it just was it just was bad. The Dolphins, kudos to them. Tyreek Hill's going to get a lot of praise for what he can bring to this team. Back off. They only scored 20 points. Even with all that, they only scored 20 points. Okay. The offense still is going to need a little bit of work. Running game was non-existent for Miami. Non-existent. So they scored 20 points with Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, Jalen Waddle. A couple of beautiful throws by Tua, by the way. Not going to take that away from him. But they only scored 20 points in a game where they were able to open it up if they could have capitalized better. No running game. Just play back. You can cover 3 receivers if you play 8 coverage all the time. If they're not really worried about you running the ball. 3-4 teams, I think, are actually going to beat the Dolphins pretty easily. I think they're going to call the bluff. They're going to play a zone behind and just play a double umbrella over Tyreek Hill. I hope that's not as simple as it is, but I did pick the Dolphins this week. Dolphins would have been my pick, and dang, good for them. Good for them to be able to get a week 1 victory. They're building a good team down there. I'm excited for what's coming up. All right, now we get into the afternoon games. So here we go. Titans versus Giants. What a gutsy call. What a gutsy call. Listen, we're just going to talk about the Giants because I love this. What a gutsy call by Brian Daboll to go for 2, not play for the overtime, to go for 2 and play for the W. If you can, go back and watch his press conference. It's awesome. I can't believe the Giants knocked off the Titans in Nashville. Great job. Now, here's something that really concerns me. The Titans could not run the ball. Derrick Henry averaged 4 yards a carry. Now, this is what I said. Remember, I had the Titans only winning 6 games. My prediction was 6-11 for the Titans, and they're going to get there sooner if this keeps happening. Not a ton of turnovers. Just not able to move the ball. And the reality is, you got to move the ball to be able to win the games. Now, Daniel Jones, 17-21, 4 incompletions. And for those of you that know Daniel Jones, know that that is actually a major upkeep on that one. That's a major upside for you. 4 incompletions on a quarterback that's averaging 57 to 60% passing completions, and he only incompleted 4 in a big game. One of them was an interception. Daniel Jones may be serviceable under Brian Daboll. They're not going to keep him still, I don't think, but he may be serviceable, and this Giants team is good enough. The talent is there. You have Saquon Barkley, which had a monster game. 164 rushing yards, touchdown on 18 rushes. Monster game against the Tennessee defense. If Saquon Barkley is healthy and Daniel Jones doesn't turn the ball over and completes 90% of his passes, I think, 80, 85, 90, I think you can win. So I'm excited for the Giants because that could be a sleeper team in the NFC East to potentially grab a wild card spot, because I don't know how tough it's going to be for the 7th seed in the NFC. One of my favorite picks this week, the Minnesota Vikings Green Bay Packer game. I thought the Vikings were going to beat them, and by golly, they did. And Justin Jefferson embarrassed the Green Bay defense. Jeez, just listen to these stats. 9 receptions, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 9 receptions, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great game. Absolutely great game. Now, let's go to the other side. Let's go to the Packers. We've been asking all year, who's going to catch the ball? Guess who their number 1 receiving was? Guess who the number 1 receiving was? A.J. Dillon, the second running back. Running back 2. The second running back on the depth chart, had the most catches and the most receiving yards. He also is the one that had the rushing touchdown. Aaron Jones. I was looking at Aaron Jones. Got hurt. He had 5 rushes for 49 yards. Hopefully he's okay. But if not, A.J. Dillon, strong. I love A.J. Dillon. Out of Boston College. Loved him when he was there. Love him even more with the Packers. But we've been saying forever, who's Rodgers going to throw to? Is he going to trust the receivers to make the catches. I mean, let's see. Robert Tanyan, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb. I mean, none of these are big yardage numbers. None of them. And it's kind of concerning. I got to be honest. I love what Minnesota was able to do. But let's be honest. Green Bay is going to be a 9-win team, possibly an 8. Their offense is going to be this bad because you have a quarterback that doesn't want to trust the receivers. All right, that one went way over. Screw it. That was one of my favorite games this week because I think a lot of teams are sleeping on what the Vikings can do. Okay, let's get to this one. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs basically shut down a lot of talk about the Cardinals in one game. Why is that? Because the Cardinals are prototypically a great team in the first 3 months of the year, and they only put up 21 points. And their defense couldn't stop anything. The Chiefs looked like they were in mid-season form, looked fantastic. Patrick Mahomes has 360 yards passing with 5 touchdowns. 360 yards passing with 5 touchdowns. Do you need me to say it again? Because I can. What a game by the Kansas City Chiefs. And on top of that, they had a run game. The Chiefs were so balanced. Great win for them. Fantastic win for them. 44-21. Now the Cardinals. Oh, the Cardinals. No running game. No running game. Granted, when you got Patrick Mahomes, it's hard to, but no running game. Kyler Murray looked really uncomfortable. The defense for Kansas City was got a lot of pressures on the QB, made him uncomfortable. Remember, Kyler Murray is small. I never liked Arizona giving him a ton of money. I know he's a quarterback I know he's a good quarterback to have on your team. I get that. I don't think he's worth $180 million. I think he's too small. I think he's going to be injured too much. You're taking a huge risk with this. Kyler Murray, I don't like him as a quarterback on a competitive team that needs to win games. He's a good quarterback. He is definitely a starting quarterback in the NFL. No doubt. I just don't like how he can't fight. He doesn't keep fighting. And that concerns me. Cardinal fans, you may want to make sure you got the right quarterback if you're actually trying to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I'll say. All right, Chargers versus Raiders. This game did not disappoint. 24-19. And really, it was right from the get-go. It was a tough fought battle. Chargers, Raiders early trade field goals. Then the Chargers just took over. Second quarter was all Chargers. And then you had the little bit of life come into play. Raiders score in the third quarter, close it. Chargers score again. Then the Raiders kick a field goal to end the third quarter. And then Devontae Adams finally gets his first touchdown catch from Derek Carr in the NFL. And both of these teams, remember, I've got both these teams making the playoffs. A 24-19 game, week number 1. It looked pretty dang good. The stats show, this game was very, very competitive. Really, I think more of what's going to be said is the fact that the Raiders probably lost it because of Derek Carr's interceptions. I like the Charger defense. The pressure that was there was definitely a factor. Justin Herbert played really clean game. Derek Carr, not so much. The Raiders didn't try to run the ball as much as I thought they should try. They only tried to run the ball 13 rushes, I believe is what it was. Only ran the ball 13 times. That's not enough. This offense is going to need to be a little bit better than that. Josh McDaniels, I'm sure, is going to look at his play calling sheet and go, He's going to look at the numbers and go, we only called 13 plays for run. That's not going to win us these football games we need to win. On the other side, though, the Chargers also didn't have much of a run game. So really, it's a tale of how how everything kind of played out. It favored the Chargers. They were able to get the scores in the second quarter, get the lead, and then in the third quarter they could go back and forth a little bit. Fourth quarter was completely silent until the Devontae Adams touchdown at the nearing the end of the fourth quarter, final 5 minutes of the game. And honestly, the games were so good this weekend, so good. The college football had me excited yesterday. Oh my goodness, college football was amazing yesterday. If you love football, yesterday was fantastic. If you love football, today was fantastic. Could not ask for a better week one. Upsets, the dogs. You had teams flexing their muscles. The Chiefs, the Vikings flexing their muscles over their opponents. You had the dogs, the Steelers, the Bears, the Texans, all the Giants, all coming out with victories. Texans tied, but all coming out with games that, they're tough. They play hard. They were there. What a week. What a week one. Football is back. Next week is probably going to be nothing like what we just saw today. Absolutely nothing. It will be nothing like what we saw today. And I love week one for that reason. Week one, keep this in mind. Remember, week one, this is not the team that they're going to be at Thanksgiving. Some of these teams never played their starters this season. Some of these teams then never had the ability to get chemistry. I will say this, and this is going to go off of what Frank Reich said, and then we'll shut down this video here and get out of here with actually a good time. Frank Reich, before the game, said he only ran generic plays in the preseason when he was playing his starters. He wanted to play his starters to get them to gel. New quarterback, new system. But they ran generic plays. And they did. I mean, you compare the preseason with today, the plays were completely different. There was an interception that was thrown. Matt Ryan had an interception. Great defensive play by Jerry Hughes. I questioned the play call more than I questioned anything else on that play. It's a play action, fake reverse, in a sense, play action, fake reverse into a halfback screen. They had called that play already 4 times in that game. It was too complicated. Simplify. Like, I was watching even the 49ers and Bears. Granted, the weather had a lot to do with it. But there was more just natural what the team does. The Falcons, the Saints, naturally what the team does. Taysom Hill's been a part of that offense for a while. There's no surprise. It's natural. The Colts did not look natural. 49ers just struggled. The Jaguars got into their rhythm. The Bengals looked rough on the front line. It's the first time those 5 guys have been together on the offensive line. They're still working out the signals, the calling, the timing in a live game. Remember, week number 1 is not week 11. Next week, you're going to see a bigger gap between the good teams, the great teams, your bad teams, and your okay teams. Next week, you'll see a little bit wider gap as the year goes on. But that's why week 1 is so great. Week 1 is so fantastic for that reason. That's why it's amazing. That's why I love it. And football's back. And that is all there is to it. All right, guys, I made it. It is not an hour and a half long video. That is great. That is great. The timer kind of worked. I know. I admit there's a couple games I wanted to talk about. I will be talking about them more in depth in the next video. This is legitimately just a quick recap video so that you know what happened. Just a quick one or two things about each team so that you can know exactly how today went through your game. And that is basically what this is for. And that's what I wanted to have done. It's what we accomplished. And now that is it. So guys, I appreciate you stopping by. If you would, give the video a like. Send it to your friends that may not want to do anything else. Don't want to listen to a bunch of other stuff about the game. Just want to hear a couple quick points on what happened this week in the NFL. That's what this is for. 13 games. There you go. 13 games, 40 minutes. Every single game had at least 2 minutes on them. And, well, there you go. Guys, appreciate you stopping by. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Appreciate y'all. What a week one. What a week one. We'll recap Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football in the next video. Wings up. Hawk out. Football's back.